Right, what have I got today? It's a small one. In fact, it's a very small one. It is a little mini hook and pick set. Now, I picked these up because I do have it's a knackered set, not by this company, but I've got a really old knackered non-brand name set at work, and it was doing my head in. They're well past their sell-by date, put it that way. And so I've reverted to, especially if I'm working on specific types of electronics where I need this. I mean, I realise a lot of people use these for engines and things like that. I'm not necessarily using them for that, although you can use them for that. But I just need a set of mini ones. I've actually resorted to using the wrong bits from a 1/4-inch bit driver to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish. So I thought, just bite the bullet and get some new ones. Now, I did look at PB Swiss. And then I saw the price and I went, 65 quid, you having a laugh? And I thought, I wonder if Draper do some. Because I think I've got another review on this channel from the Draper, I think the mole grips, or the adjustable sort of clamps there. And I was really impressed with them. And I thought Draper are still decent because I used to use them as a kid a lot with model making and things like that and precision stuff. And they're still just as good. But good bang for buck. So instead of 65 quid, these were 6. So what a difference. So I'll show you them. This is a tentative review because obviously I haven't used them yet, but I'm expecting good things. I've taken them out just to have a quick look and they look decent, but I'll put them back because I like to show you how you would get this in a retail package. So I'll show you it from all angles. Nothing on the top, same on the side, nothing on the bottom. And then on the back you have your basic stuff there. So you've got Draper tools, blah, 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 images for illustrative purposes only. Yes. Not to be sold to persons underage. What in case they try and become a mechanic? I mean, come on. I mean, I suppose maybe it's that one if you didn't want them to go vampire hunting or something. But these are a smaller tool, so they're not the big one. So this is the Draper Mini Hook and Pick Set. I think the number is 517, yeah, 51763. So if you're looking it up, and I'll put a link in the description of straight back to the manufacturer's website. I'm not using affiliate links or anything like that. So we'll take them back out. So I took the little sticker off, and that's them there, and I put them back exactly as they were. There's nothing else in there. And here they are here. So they're quite small. So we'll get a good look at the handle. We'll take them out one after another. So we'll take this one out first. In fact, we'll just take the whole lot out. Get rid of this rubbish, right? Let's see how hard they are. We'll just rip everything out. Yeah, rip them out, right. Get rid of that, boosh, stick it in the bin. Right, here we go. So pretty small, and I'll just show you the sizes here. So a little Milwaukee here. So as you can see, not that big, and they're all pretty much of a muchness in length. They're all the mini style, so even the handles are pretty small. Look, so we're not, I mean, really, to me that doesn't matter. These are not going to be used on large machinery. I'm going to use them on custom specialist electronics where I need to custom design things and do a specific thing. And one of the problems I had recently was, and I was using 1/4-inch bits and I shouldn't have been, was this piece of equipment I was designing, it had a SIM slot in it, and because of that, and whoever designed the outlet, it wasn't me, had decided, yeah, well, I don't really care, as long as that fits in, that's fine. But when it was in and the 2 torque screws were out, I was unable to take the actual shielded part out, so I was having to use SIM ejectors and all sorts. And I thought, right, let's go and get some proper tools again. So let's have a quick look at these. So standard shiny plastic handles there. Pretty nice in the handle, but again, mini look. So look, remember I've got big hands, but that's not going to go very far back because it is for small, mini, precise movements. If you want the longer ones, you can get them. So pretty good though, and then we'll look at the actual material itself. So here it is. There is a small knurled section, so if this wasn't fine enough, you can move down to here and do your little movements here. I would prefer to have seen that a little bit bigger, and maybe just take up a bit more there because it feels a little bit like an afterthought. The knurling there's okay. Just feels like a little bit of an afterthought, but it's okay. There's a little bit on there, and how much torque you really need, it's supposed to be for small, precise movements. And let's get a good look at this tip here. So I've done this in 4K, the highest bit rate I can get away with, 60 frames a second, HDR and all that. I put every setting to its maximum to try and get the best quality here. So there's the tip. So I think this one is an L hook, isn't it? Is an I hook or an L hook? I think it's an L hook because it looks like the letter L. So it just goes like a 90 degrees. I'm pretty happy with that. There's nothing there that screams, this is a load of rubbish. And it comes to like a flat point rather than a cut off spur there. And I guess the reason for that is because the thinner you have that, the more likely it is to break. So they've kind of like brought that to a stop there. That's okay. I don't mind that. I think that's a good idea. And I'll show you the bend there. There's the bend. There's a little bit of a bit jump in there. Then it goes into there. And again, this is plastic. And I'll show you the other one. So this is, I think this is a V hook, isn't it? Yeah, it's a V hook, because you do that, it looks like the letter V. So let's get a close look at this. Workmanship, beautiful. And again, it's got that slight flat tip to it. So it doesn't taper into almost nothingness, and it gets bent over and you get a horrible curve over. And they feel pretty decent. Again, that knurling is exactly the same in this one. It's quite sharp, but I would like to have seen it bigger, because, you know, unless you've got tiny little dainty fingers. I'll probably be using this one and that one the most. So then you have a, is this called a clevis? I just call it a hook, you know, from the hook and pick. I'll call this a hook, but I think the proper name or traditional name is something like a clevis. Very nice. So this is, well, they're saying chrome vanadium, in other words, CRV if you're in the knife world. So basically, I mean, there'll be some carbon in here. I would expect there'll be a very small amount. Although it doesn't specifically say carbon steel, it does say hardened, so I would expect so. Chrome vanadium, you stick a bit of chrome in and it gives it a nice finish, and you are avoiding corrosion. I'm not going to be using this in a marine environment or high humidity, but it should be okay. And the vanadium's in there as well. So chrome and vanadium are used together in tandem for hardness and things like that. And it does say it is tempered. There is no Rockwell weight rating on this, but with a Rockwell rating, you don't want it too hard, because then it can shatter and split, when you don't want it too soft, because it can curve over. So hopefully they've got that right. If anyone's got any of these Draper tools, just let me know how these fare over time. Obviously, in an initial review, I can't even comment on that, so I'm not going to, you know, be ignorant and do that. I would expect them to be good. Everything else I've had from Draper recently has been great, and going back to when I was a kid, all the Draper stuff was fantastic. Let's have a look at this handle. Looks good, looks good. It's got like a shiny finish on it, and then the Draper logo there, registered trademark. For people who don't know Draper, you know, I get people from all over the world watching this channel. So Draper is an English company founded in 1919 down in Hampshire in the UK there. Still going now. Now, am I looking at that wrong? That looks slightly off-centre. You see that Draper there? Should that not be slightly... Just get my spirit level out. Let's have a little... Let's get something... If I put that like that, yeah, I think that's slightly off, isn't it? Yeah, I think what was happening was they were on a ship when they were painting that on, and it listed to the left, and they went whoop and just stuck that on. So let's check the other ones. Is that one off center? No. So there you go. Look, first issue. I would say that's off center. I couldn't care less, because I don't have OCD and I don't really care about things like that. I'm not interested. But I know a lot of people who watch this channel are. There's one of them who keeps commenting saying, "I'm sick of this burn mark. Get it sorted." I get that. So my apologies to you if that's you I'm talking about. I'm very sorry about this. It was during a review. I will get a new mat. But to me, I couldn't care less. Doesn't have any effect on my life. But that looks off to me. So there's the first problem. But other than that, it feels brilliant. These feel nice and solid. Let's just have a give it the test. Yeah, feels solid. Let's get a nice close look at this. So it tapers off there all the way down, then tapers again with like a drop point. Let's get it on my finger here so I can get it to focus. There you go. That looks pretty good. And that's probably the sharpest out of the bunch. Now that one doesn't seem to have a flat end on that very, very final. Does it? Yeah, tiny little bit, maybe a tiny bit. Yeah. But you want that as sharp as possible, and that's this one and this one are probably the ones I'm going to be using the most, or maybe sometimes that. You know, traditionally, especially the larger ones, you would use them for O-rings and split pins and things like that. I sometimes deal with cotter pins and split pins, but I generally use a pair of pliers on my hands. I'm not using, it's not massive ones, and they're not out of reach. I can generally get at them on the equipment that I'm working with, so that's okay. Okay, so this was just a very quick one, and I try to keep it quick. So this is the Draper 4-piece mini hook and pick set. There is a larger one. I'll stick their link in. It's not an affiliate. It's straight to their website. And again, I couldn't believe the price on this. £6 instead of 65 for the PB Swiss. I'll probably save that PB Swiss to my favourites, and I'll try and get them when the price drops, if it drops, because I love PB Swiss stuff, but I do not love that price. So if you think I'm wrong to wait, and do you think these are enough, let me know in the comments section. But you know, I think Draper so far have been extremely good with me. Brilliant. And again, I bought this with my own money. Boosh. Right, so there's a little close look at them together, and I will let you get on with your day. There you go. So nice chrome vanadium there. Again, don't know what the Rockwell hardness rating is on them, but I expect them to be pretty high, but not too high if you're jamming them into things like that. Okay, so if I had to give this a mark out of 10, I would say, look, that's slightly wobbly. Which one is it? That one's slightly off. I don't care personally. Doesn't make any difference to me, but it makes you question what else is being not thought about in the factory. There's something to think about. And these come with a 12-month warranty, not a lifetime, but for £6 and you get a 12-month warranty, English made. I mean, that's pretty good. If you want a lifetime warranty, you're going to have to pay £65 and go for something like the PB Swiss, or maybe it's a little less and go for Milwaukee or Nimex, something like that. Anyway, thank you very much. I'm going to let you get on with your day. Goodbye.